In the writings of Darth Bane that were passed down to apprentices within his Order of the Sith Lords, the creator of the Rule of Two spoke of the importance of force attacks all Sith needed to learn for combat. A Sith was not merely a lightsaber duelist, as the Force had provided them with the ability to channel the dark side and produce powerful attacks against their opponents. Bane focused on 3 schools of Force combat that all Sith needed to learn. The first was the school called Offense that required relatively little exertion to produce quick strikes during lightsaber combat, and included Force Push, Force Choke, and Force Throw. The second was the school called Mind, which drew upon the unifying force, and required intense focus to produce devastating attacks that assaulted their opponent's psychic clarity. The final school was known as Body. These dark side abilities drew upon the living force, and according to Bane, they emerged from the Sith Lord's own cells within their body. As Bane wrote in the Book of Sith, these force abilities were drastically hindered for any Sith Lord with cybernetic limbs and enhancements. This was simply the law of the living force, and anyone who relied upon cybernetics were all but refused the use of the abilities that comprised this school of combat established by Darth Bane. In this video expose, we'll look at 5 force abilities within this school of combat, which due to their reliance upon the living force, would be all but impossible for Darth Vader. The first force ability is Cryo Kinesis. This power required a Dark Lord to use the Force to drain the essence or heat from their opponent. Although it was impossible for the Sith Lord to actually use the heat vitality of another individual to bolster themselves, what it would do, however, was cause their victim's body temperature to decrease rapidly, thereby leaving behind a frost-shrouded corpse killed by this arcane ability. The second force ability that drew upon the living force was Convection, and represented the opposite of cryokinesis. Rather than siphoning the essence from their victims, Convection relied upon a concentration of force energy that could be used to alter the opponent's body chemistry, causing their body to increase to a burning intensity. Demonstrating how this ability emanated from a Sith Lord's own cells, and thus why Vader would be hindered in his use of Convection, it would actually cause the user's fists to become incredibly hot themselves. While this would cause no lasting injury to the user, simply touching objects with them could set items on fire or cause blisters to form on living entities. The next ability, which is Force Lightning, might be a controversial one. In the Legends comic adaptation of Splinter of the Mind's Eye, Vader is seen using a Force ability awfully close to Force Lightning. However, this isn't Force Lightning, but a variation of the ability known as Kinetite, which was a form of Force-energized lightning that didn't electrocute or burn its targets, but instead restrain the opponent through pure kinetic energy. Therefore, Bane's description of Force Lightning within the Book of Sith, and its inability to be used by those with cybernetic enhancements, holds true as seen within other sources within Legends, and Vader's use of it was directly hindered by his injuries. Because the electrical bolts of Force Lightning were a result of a user's own cells and the living force, this ability was all but impossible for cyborgs like Vader. The penultimate force ability is called Death Field. Of course, with all of these powers acting within the law of the living force, this ability saw a concentration of the dark side that was produced from within the Sith Lord's own physical essence that emerged as a sphere. Living up to its name, any individual that entered into the Death Field would eventually wither until there was nothing left but a dry husk. It was an extremely powerful ability that was sustained by the will of those who conjured it. However, the user would have to be cautious when producing these spheres, as it would eventually attempt to consume them as well. The final force ability set out by Bane that was all but impossible to be used by cyborgs like Darth Vader was called Drain Life. This ability was brought into Bane's Order of the Sith Lords through the holocron of Darth Revan. It was a difficult ability that drained the life energy from their enemy and then channeled it directly into the Sith Lord's own life essence. As recognized by Bane, this ability was perhaps the most difficult on this list to be used in actual combat. However, because it both damaged their opponent and reinvigorated the user, it was an ability that was worth the risk. So there we have it, 5 dark side force abilities that were impossible for Darth Vader, due to their having to be drawn from the living force. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. If not for me, for having other needed abilities.